Ticket, yes. Passport, right here. Boarding pass. Damn it! Where did I put that? I know I printed it out. I did a little dance, peculiar to people arriving at an airport. The one where you slap various pockets and juggle luggage, magazines, and purses in order to peer into every easily reached receptacle. Finally, I found the sheet of paper I'd printed before leaving my mother's flat. Gotcha! All right, I think I'm set. I just hope the security line isn't too long. People streamed past me out of the tiled corridor that led to the airport tube station, hauling luggage, children, and parcels of every size as they traveled the moving sidewalks, escalators, and plain old stairs into the airport proper. A woman next to me, pausing to wait for two bickering teenagers behind her, yelled in a flat American accent that she would happily leave them behind in Wales if they didn't get their asses in gear. She caught my eye as I was rearranging my travel documents to be readily available, giving me a grimacing smile. I swear I'm never traveling with kids again. Everyone said I was crazy to bring them along with me, but I thought they'd be old enough to appreciate seeing another culture. I glanced back to where the teen girl and boy were arguing over what appeared to be a carrier bag filled with magazines. Didn't work out as you planned, huh? Lord, no! And we still have Amsterdam and Germany to do. How am I going to survive another week is beyond me. She gave me an appraising look as I finished tucking away my magazine, stuffed my purse, denuded of travel documents, into my carry-on bag, and pulled out the handle of the monstrous wheeled suitcase that housed the bulk of my possessions. You're American too? Actually, I was born here in Wales, but I've lived so long in Denver that I pass for American. Ah, here on business? The woman asked. If she had been British, I'd have wondered what was up. But many decades of living in the U.S. had made even the most personal of questions seem totally natural when asked by a relative stranger. You could say that. My mothers live in a small town near the coast. I visit them every 6 months or so. Mothers? Plural? Her forehead wrinkled for a moment, then smoothed out quickly with an, "Oh, you mean your mother is... How interesting." My mouth tightened. If she was going to be one of those people who hated on my mothers, I would have a thing or two to tell her. She shrugged, turned back to warn the still arguing teens that they had exactly 3 seconds before she would abandon them to the airport staff, and said simply, "It takes all kinds." "It certainly does. Good luck with your trip," I said politely, and gathering up my things, I moved off before she could say anything more. The experience had left me feeling a bit prickly, which in turn made the inevitable delays at the security lines all that much more annoying. But a memory of my mother's teaching about tolerance got me through it without once wishing I could remember the spell to give people ingrown toenails. I had just settled down in the waiting area with all the other people who would be on the flight to Orlando. My connecting flights to Chicago and then Denver would extend the trip by another 7 hours, and pulled out my tablet computer to see if there was any news in the Alchemist's Forum, which I frequent, when my cell phone buzzed in my jacket pocket. The number displayed on the phone didn't ring a bell. I ignored the call, figuring it was just another solicitation to try some service or buy something that I didn't want. So when the phone buzzed a second time, I started to turn it off. "Mom, too," the text said, above the photo of a face almost as familiar as my own. I frowned. I'd had somewhat hurried goodbyes earlier with both my moms. Hurried because of some bizarre notion that they had that I was in danger, and the sooner I got out of Wales, the safer I'd be. "Hi, what's up?" I asked, answering the call. "You can't be missing me already, Mom, too. I left you guys less than, 4 hours ago?" "Of course we miss you, Gwen."